hard question. Ironically, it's because other people are giving me the job, so I'm not actually doing it myself. I've only done one on my own. That was actually a mistake to some degree because I was at a function and I said, I've got this idea to make a film. And once I made a public announcement about it, I was forced to continue on with it and actually finish it off. And it was halfway through that I got offered to do the other film, Disturbance in the Force, which was rather funny because I hadn't even finished my own picture at that stage. And this guy comes out of nowhere and says, you're doing a great job with this, do mine too. And it was all actually, why? I can't do anything else. That's the problem. I can't act. I'm no good photography and lights and costumes and stuff. But I don't know. I think it's the kind of thing you sort of see things and you sort of have an idea of how they're meant to be. I don't really know why. I wasn't officially asked. It was just it was rather funny. I worked with Chris on Disturbance in the Force. He wrote the story. And ironically, I think he just dobbed me in as being the director of it. And you probably verify or say that he did actually ask me to do it, but in reality, he didn't. He just assumed that I would do it. And I thought, okay, it was very, very flattering because I had offers coming from everywhere. People want me to do their films. But in the end, he presented the script and he seemed really gung ho, and I had no reason not to do it. And I kind of liked it. I thought it was a good challenge, so I went with it. James Cameron. I like the idea of having people who have a lot of attention to detail in their work, and James Cameron is definitely someone I think he actually does really well, and John Carpenter too. But there's no one person I say, I've got to see their movies because this is like they're my favourites or anything like that. It's just those guys sort of stand out a bit, and I like the fact that they go to the nth degree to get things done, and they're a bit different too. They can sort of go from one sort of genre to another, and they sort of mix it up a little bit. I think that's rather good. Wish they'd have been shorter and a lot less things to do in them. It's good that all the cast and crew have been very positive and eager to do all the work. For myself, I haven't really enjoyed them that much. It's all sort of work and pressure and trying to fix problems and trying to meet schedules and deadlines, knowing that they've just got to be met. There's just no way of getting around it. I can't extend the shoots for 12 hours a day or anything like that. Meeting actors, commitments where they have to sort of can only arrive at a certain time and leave at a certain time. And whenever there's a problem, everybody just turns to me and says, "How do you fix that?" And sometimes you just got to invent fixes there on the spot. So it hasn't been a great deal of fun in a lot of ways. The last shoot, not this one, but the one before, was quite good. I thought it was very productive and I enjoyed that. But the one before, the first one, was just terrible. I hated it. I was driving home that Sunday night thinking, oh my God, what have I got myself into? Today wasn't too bad. The problem is where you want to do more than you can do, and there are some shots that you get and you think they're passable, they work, but they're not great. Got to move on. So put the peg in the ground, say, okay, just got to go with it. And there was a few like that today. Just thinking there's just something missing. It's the overcritical nature of things, not necessarily the performances or the lighting or anything. It's just sometimes something's off and you just don't know what it is. So I'd say it's been good, but it hasn't been. I find I can't have any fun. I don't enjoy it. That's the problem. Everybody else is having a great time, but I just can't get out of that mode of enjoying it, and that's what I think is the biggest downfall of the whole thing. What I thought was going to be my favourite shot didn't turn out to be my favourite shot, which was actually the very first one we did, where we had a dolly set up and we had the camera go 180 degrees around. In my mind, I thought that's going to be magic, and it was actually just average. I didn't like it in the end. It worked, it was great, it was wonderful, but just, once again, something was missing. Because for me, it's got to be something you see in the mind, and then you see it in reality, and you think that's absolutely magic. And there was, the best sequence we did was a couple of weeks ago, where we did Brannet's reflection sequence. That's the nighttime one with the lights everywhere. And there was some really good stuff that came out of that. I think for myself, when it was actually focusing on George when he was sitting in a chair by himself and he had to put all the long pauses in and all that, and he got up and he stood in the lights and all that was really good. But it's funny, you can be so critical about how you visualise something and how you see it in reality, and something's not right and you can't work out what it is. And but having said that, I'm sure that down the track, when I look at it all back, I go, yeah, that's actually quite good. That worked out really, really well. But on the day, when you always have the option of changing things, it's very hard to be satisfied. Very hard. And there's no one thing, and in the end you blame yourself. You think, well, okay, the acting is fine, the lighting's fine, the camera work's fine, but something's not right, and I don't know what it is. So you point the finger at yourself. So it's just the overcritical nature of myself, I guess. I've had, and of course, obviously, visual effects, green screens, and all that, have working in the professional industry, and they're working great, and everybody uses them. It's fantastic. Me personally, I've had very bad experiences with them, where the reliance on them was so great that it was unrealistic. And I thought, and it's been a bugbear of mine where people just automatically turn to a visual effect rather than just trying to do it the old-fashioned way and use an in-camera solution. And one, because if you do use a visual effect, what you're doing is shifting the problem from one person to another person. So the person on the set says, oh, fine, we've got a green screen, we don't have to worry about it. But then someone else has to composite a background in and make it all match and all the rest of it, and it has to look real. And I was thinking, well, if I can avoid that, I will. And that's one of the reasons why I put my foot down and said that the backdrop here had to be painted, because I thought it's got to work. And there were three people who were very concerned that it wouldn't, because the distance between the wall and the windows. And it worked out okay, and I thought that was great. And because I thought, if I use green screen, I'm now introducing a whole lot of other problems. One, I've got to find a compositor, then I've got tracking issues and motion capture concerns. And I thought, I don't want to have that problem. I don't want to say, yes, the shoot's done, but it's not. I've got to get someone else to do all this extra work to make it complete. And if it doesn't look good, what happens then? It just looks fake, and people go, oh, look at that, it's a green screen. So that's why it's just been bad experiences in the past, and they've just really rubbed me up the wrong way. If someone said, we've got the right camera, we've got the right technology, we know exactly what we're doing, it probably wouldn't be so bad. But I know we don't have that yet, and I don't want to say to someone, well, look, here's 30 minutes worth of green screen footage, go and composite something. That's not fair at all. So yeah, that's the only reason, really. Story and the rehearsals, the ability to put people through their paces, sort of learning a bit more about how to direct actors, push them a little harder. I like the fact that there's very little action in this, and actually it's all drama, and it's all pretty intense. And you think, well, how far can you push the tension? How far can you push a person? And I think that's the strongest element of the whole story, is that it is a little bit more intense and full on than a lot of other films. And that's why, like today, when I was doing Jules' interrogation, I know what I wanted, and I had been thinking about it for weeks, how I was going to approach it. It didn't work, but hey, there you go. The shots came out fine, but what I visualised and what I got was just slightly different. And when I did the thing with Wex, when I sat in Brannet's chair and I got him to put the knife against my throat, and we sort of had eye contact and breathed at the same time, and I said his lines, and sort of in sync together to try and bring out the extra performance. That was all rather good, but that's stuff I all thought about. So it wasn't just spare of the moment. I thought, okay, how can I just go a bit further into the realms of pushing the envelope? And I don't know if that's what real directors do. I don't know if that's the normal thing, or whether you just say to actors, go off and do it. I don't know. But I think the rehearsals were really good. We learned a lot from the rehearsals. We sort of developed a lot of things, developed a lot of the characterizations, and it wasn't just a case of saying, you're doing this and off you go. We created all backstories for various people and explanations as why things turned out the way they did, and I think the performances were really improved because of that, and that more than anything was actually enjoyable. Also because the pressure was off too. There's no pressure like here, there's pressure to sort of get things done. But at the rehearsal, you sort of chance it back, you sit back, relax, take it easy, change things, and here you don't get that. So it's definitely, rehearsing I think has been the best thing. So it helps that they've got actors who are performing really well too. It's been a big bonus. I think the important thing that this production has is that the quality of the team, the people working on it, because none of them are being paid and they're all doing it voluntarily. I think the fact that they've all got the energy and the willingness to do things, right from the director of photography right down to the guy who holds the door shut, and the person who runs down to the train station to pick up an actor and all that, and we're 5 shoots into it, and they're all still as keen and eager as ever. They all stick around afterwards, and the energy's still there. And I think that more than anything is really what's making this thing work. Because otherwise, if people were forced to be here, I think that spark would be missing. And I think that's more than anything, people will take that away, is that the enthusiasm has been there from the very get-go. And that's what I'm really happy about too. Because I said at one of the early production meetings, it's got to be fun, but there's got to be an element of work into it as well. And I think there's been an equal balance of that for everybody, not necessarily not for me and not for my DOP, but for everybody else. I think there has, but it's been there, and I think that's really sort of made the whole production work really well. You got it. Is that the best question you can come up with? Yes, I'm a Star Wars fan. Is that the best you can come up with? Yes, I'm a Star Wars fan. There you go.
And for how long?
Well, since Star Wars came out back in '77.
Okay, and which one's your favourite?
A New Hope.
A New Hope? Okay. They're the boring questions.
That was damn boring, yes. Did he write these with you? That's pitiful. Anyway,
Okay.
Yes, go on.